Life is not cruel. Nature is not cruel. Life is only as cruel as humans make it. I read this comment a few days ago. I don't remember the video. What was it like? What were we talking about? But this phrase just got stuck in my head. This week I was talking with one of my friends and I was telling him, as society is us, we are the problem. We are someone else's problems. We portray, create problems without even knowing them. Or we start messing with someone else's life without being conscious about it. Because sometimes, and majority of times, no one is going to knock our doors and tell us like, hey, you just did this and I'm so angry and you shouldn't be doing that. No. Sometimes the damage is something that grows in a silent way. It grows smoothly until it becomes like a big issue. And then we see it in the news, then we hear it from someone else. Then we start to perceive how our actions, individual actions, start affecting people collectively. You will never be able to guess each one of your flaws, and you will never able to guess each one of your mistaken actions and how those actions affected someone else. We're going to pass our life trying to guess what we did wrong or simply not doing it because no one is going to knock our doors to tell us every time we screw up and how we are individually or even collectively adding to someone else's suffering, also in a collectively or individualistic way. And it's a constant dilemma to see and to grade how much or how many damage we have been doing so far. How much damage does a regular human being does in its entire life? How can we know that? Because life is not cruel. Nature itself isn't. And we tend to say like, no, perhaps it's in our nature. Perhaps we are like this. Perhaps the animal kingdom has been cruel to stuff. No, we are the only beings that we don't have a cycle in this earth. We are the only ones that cannot adapt entirely in a harmonious way. So we're the only ones in this kind of animal kingdom. We don't know how to adapt properly to it. We don't have a cycle. We don't support someone else's lifetime and conditions and all the things that they need to start and end their cycles. We're a bit like a plague, but we haven't figured out how to have our own cycle that supports the environment, but also supports our species itself. So we've been figuring out so many things, but always the one that stays at the bottom of the list is how to adapt to the actual planet we just were born in. The other one, life is only as cruel as humans make it. And that's the one who gets the tick. So, despite that we don't know how to adapt to our current planet, now we are trying to make other people's lives an entire suffering sometimes. From the person who answers our calls, from the people who just are at the checkout from a Shopee cart online, we finish our purchase from some type of issue we have to solve with the government or with a private company or with a person itself. Stuff like water leaking from the roof to just don't not knowing how to manage unemployment and others. From small things to big things and from big things to small things all over the guy. So we do have a cycle, but it's a cycle of lack of communication, secrets, and misjudgment. We don't know how to understand everybody, but since we put so many things under the blanket, we will never know how is the panorama itself. What is the entire view of our actions? How our actions are actually impacting others, the percentages, the statistics. We have some for sure, but when the issue gets big, big enough to drag our attention, then our life suffers when that gets published, and nature suffers at the end. It's always at the bottom of our list, and I don't know why. There is an almost unconscious connection between cruelty and life. We are people who view our ills with a pessimistic eye. Because, yes, sometimes the situation is simply cruel. Cruelty exists. We cannot put it on the side. We cannot say things like, life is beautiful, life is great. No, life has its tones, its own colors, its shapes. It's beautiful, yes, but also it's cruel, also it's sad, also is full of uncertainty and misunderstanding. But yes, life is also happiness, joy, love. But it's a roller coaster because who is making the roller coaster and who's putting the next pedal to it, the next pattern of metal to it? Us. We are the ones who are making that. We blame life while avoiding pointing fingers at each other. Perhaps because it's grown, perhaps because it's something that has to happen, perhaps because these are evils we attribute to the divine, to chance, and to life. I know sometimes in when you were like growing out, you're like, you cannot point your finger to someone else. Do it. Do it. Why are we going to contain ourselves to point out things that are grown? That will only contribute to those things to become worse and worse and worse. And that is like a common rule in some households. Don't point out your fingers to someone else. Why not? Why not can I point when someone else is doing something that either attracts my attention or something that is wrong? Why not? Why is it wrong to do it? That's my main point. And sometimes we tend to say like things are supposed to happen. This horrific thing that happened to me was supposed to be happening. Sometimes it is not. Not everything is supposed to happen. We have free will. Free will is us deciding what will we do next or not, according to the circumstances. So that thing that's supposed to be happening to you, I know someone contributed to that because we have free will. We were able to avoid awful things, and people are able also to avoid amazing things that could happen to others. Simple as that. So not everything happens just like that. Everything happens for a reason. And that reason, most of the times, it's us. Evil, evilness. That is a human type attribute, a human quality. That isn't a divine quality. Cruelness is part of the humankind, a quality, an attribute. So not everything needs to be attached to a divine figure because a divine figure isn't human. We are the ones who need to be in community with other people all the time. People that have the will to do whatever they want, things that can affect us or not, things that can be beneficial or not to someone else or to us. So evilness itself, that is something that also encapsulates us. We cannot attribute everything to the divine and we cannot attribute everything to just because that had to happen or to chance and therefore to life itself. Life isn't the cruel one. We are the cruel ones. Our evil brings evil. Evils create crust, and the crust forms and it starts shaping fragments that last a long time. Ravages and laments are heard as the waves arrive, twist, and gather again and again. We blame the wave. The wave will be life. The tide that rises and falls. That will be the circumstances. Well, we leave behind the blanket. We leave behind a lake, a river of souls who day after day struggle between feeling alone or lost, fragile or misunderstood. But we tend to play the wave before looking back, pointing out our fingers and saying like, hey, perhaps was this person or was this another person? Was this group of people that are making this wave to come over and over again to us without even knowing why and without what it's about to drive with it this time. And there are people who is managing or contributing to the enlargement of that wave, how big is it going to be, how small, how turbulent, how bright, or how joyful, perhaps. But no, we point out the wave like life is cruel, life is misery, life is hard. I can comprehend it. Life is tough. No, we are. Aren't we the same ones who threw stones in the air and hope they don't fall on us? But guess what? That stone you threw, that bad action, is going to land in someone else's life as a consequence. A parallel consequence that you don't even know why. Perhaps we have a wounded soul, a dissonant life, a cascade of events that seem endless. But perhaps we are the ones who give strength to that wave that we translate into misery. Who knows? But what do you think? We come from deceptive disorders, traumas, wounds. We come from a history of things that happened in our life that made us who we are, right? And we were so blind and just looking on the sides without acknowledging that first. What does that make? That on the lifetime, well, we don't know how to manage it, or we are unconscious about that we are also having a wounded soul, something that we need to solve. We have issues, inner issues, psychological issues. We go through our life damaging others. And then when that stone goes back in return, falls to the ground, hits someone else, or hits you directly, then we hear people like, why? Why is life so cruel? Why this and that had to happen? Was it because it just had to happen? I discern divine. Why are you doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? Oh no, it is because it had to happen. He or she put it on my way as an obstacle at me to test me. No, if it was us, it was someone around you that did something, and it's like a cascade and develop that. That's it. That's it. We are our own misery. People think that when we die, we either are going to live some kind of great spot elsewhere or in a pretty deep hole. Well, they don't figure out that we're already in a deep hole right now, living among joy, misery, suffering, love, happiness, and wonder people at the same time. So we're already in a deep hole in a great spot at the same time. So for people to know that they're already there, I cannot say that everything it's about us and everything happens because of that. But I cannot also take away the responsibility that we have in this world, because that will be being blind, living in a blindless world. And nature isn't blind itself. Nature is doing fine. We're the ones that keep punishing ourselves, punishing others, and trying to wake up every day and expecting everything will be fine. So perhaps we are those who give us strength to that wave that we translate into misery, a shared wave, or simply the consequences of collective actions that have no end. I don't know, but perhaps we see a way out to all of this. And that way out comes to pointing our fingers, searching for answers, welcoming to the door comprehension, and trying to understand what's going on. Don't wait until someone just knocks on your door until you're like, hey, you just did that and this just happened. No, no, no. Try to dig on this hole that we are in, on this magic place that you are as well, depending on which one. Try to see what's underneath the blanket. We need to put up our carpets as well, trying to get all the dust out, trying to see what was behind. Misery, being evil, those are human attributes, qualities, adjectives, and so on. It comes from humankind. We cannot attribute that to things that are human related. That wouldn't make any sense. If you're going to say, and if you see that something that happened qualifies for any of those words, you need to start looking around, because perhaps that justification that you're looking for of why did that misery happen is within one. of less.
All right.
Thank you and take care.